What's working and what needs to improve in the justice system for people with disability?
Great. Well, at the moment, I think the current legal situation for people with disabilities in Victoria are really behind compared to the mainstream population. There are a lot of people with disabilities who live in Victoria, and their experience of the justice system is much more of a need, so need to access and coming across the attitude of those working in the justice system, such as courtrooms, police, even in prisons, in hospitals, systems across the board, receiving a wrong diagnosis, and then those that they come across aren't bothered to find out what the actual diagnosis is, the issues of communication, lack of understanding, and even knowing that they have a disability. I work with people who are deaf and hard of hearing, I work in that community and I see a lot of injustices there. So in Victoria, in Deaf Victoria, we've supported one deaf woman in hospital, and she had a car accident and the police were involved, but there was no way of communicating. So instead of going to hospital for injuries that had occurred, she ended up in a closed ward, and she was there for 6 weeks. And we were advocating for her release, and fortunately she was released last Friday, but we need to make sure that there's good communication in the very first instance, having interpreters available, having discussions with the person that is involved in the situation, rather than it going to such an extreme as the case that I just mentioned. Also, funding for legal services supporting people with disabilities is very rare. There's disability discrimination services, but there's only 1.5 lawyers available for all people with disabilities across Victoria who focus on discrimination. So this is a huge issue that needs to be repaired. There needs to be more lawyers who understand the situation, more understanding of people with disabilities, and act on their behalf, rather than people with disabilities staying on waiting lists, which they could be waiting for months or years. So how we can improve the situation is Victoria Police should have more people who can use Auslan or who are deaf themselves working with VicPol, and engage with the deaf and hard of hearing community, helping the Victoria Police provide accessible communication, particularly when in the instance of calling 000. Deaf and hard of hearing people can't call 000. They have to rely on what's called the National Relay Service, but that is a very difficult service to use. A lot of the time there is disconnection when trying to make phone calls, so it's not easy. So we need to have Victoria Police and people working within that system and the court system to have more consistent approaches when booking interpreters, interpreter provision, even in court as well, making sure that the deaf person has understanding of the legalese, the situation when coming across the justice system, and never assume that the deaf person knows the legal terminology and what it means. So we really need practitioners to pause, take the time to make sure that the deaf and hard of hearing community members are aware of what is going on in that situation. I've got a lot more I could say about that, but yes, I might stop there.
For more information on disability advocacy, visit www.daru.org.au.